we have a very wonderful verse. This is verse number 9 from Bhagavad Gita Mahatmya from Sri Vaishnaviya Tantra Sar. This says, Ye Shanvanti Patanti Eva Gita Shastram Ahar Nisham Na te vai manusha geya deva rupana samshaya. So what does it say? It says one who day and night hears and recites the Gita is never to be taken a mere human being. Without a doubt, he is a veritable God. So what does this verse talks about? This is the glorification of Bhagavad Gita, that one who regularly hears, regularly recites Bhagavad Gita day and night, which means he is always thinking about Bhagavad Gita. He is speaking about Bhagavad Gita. He is hearing Bhagavad Gita day and night. Then such a person should not be considered as an ordinary human being. Without a doubt, he is a veritable God. So if you see the Sanskrit, the word uses Devarupa, which means that he becomes so exalted that he is resembling devatas, which means he has been bestowed and manifested with the divine qualities. So by the blessings of the Lord, one who meditates on Bhagavad Gita, he receives those wonderful qualities which are similar to the Lord, of course in small quantity, but we receive similar qualities and the person becomes godlike. Of course we can never become God, but that's what, how do we understand
Godly.
this? Godly, yes.
Okay, so hope all of us have our copies of Bhagavad Gita. So quickly get your copies of Bhagavad Gita so that we can start with our prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Deshatarini. Karoti Vacharam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkripatam Aham Vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So welcome all for this Gita Mastery course session. And as we all know that we have completed the 2 chapters. So here it is how we have divided the whole Bhagavad Gita into various trimesters. We have already completed chapter 1 and chapter 2. And today we would be entering into chapter 3. Also, I am hoping that all of you have actually completed your quiz for chapter 2. Those of you who have not completed, see, I read a message, somebody was asking to send the quiz. So we are not sending the quiz on the WhatsApp. What you have to do is go to the website studygeeta.com, and I'm sure you have already registered there. So just log in your account, go to Geeta Mastery course, and there you will find the quizzes for both the chapters. Actually, as we were discussing initially itself, that this is like a online college where we are studying, or online pathshala where we are
Gita
studying
Pathshala.
Bhagavad Gita. So to maintain the decorum, we are progressing in a manner like we are doing the attendance, and we are uploading everything on the website, and we want you to take advantage of it. So if you are saving the chapter notes on your WhatsApp, and then sometime it may go here and there, so everything is up there. Please take the advantage. So all the sessions, what we do, all the recordings are available there, all the notes are available there, the shlokas, Sanskrit and English translation, the shlokas are available there, the recitation part, and the quiz is also available there. So we request you to kindly go to studygeeta.com, and in case, okay, can you send me the email ID where I can drop a mail, as I won't be able to attend the next session. So if you are not able to attend the next session or any session, so kindly send a mail to sukirti@studygeeta.com, so that we know that you are not coming and you have a genuine reason. So with
No, but
this,
you can always attend the recording. See, it's very
Yes.
important. Yeah. It was for us when we are studying in school, we miss a class, it's missed for all. You know, somebody, tuition teacher or school parents had to teach. But here we have the option of recorded session, which are equally good, and we request you to don't miss a session. So if you're not able to attend on your regular day, attend. Like for example, Dr. Rupa, if you're not be able to attend next session, say on Sunday, we have the same session first on Thursday, then we have the same session again on Saturday, and then we have the same session on Sunday. So we have so much of opportunity, and then finally we have a recorded session.
like Shweta is asking if she can give the quiz for chapter 1 and 2
Yes.
together. Yes, you can do that. Also, if you would notice, so there is a person who has logged in with the name moderator. So if you have any query regarding the quiz, etc., we request you to directly chat with the moderator,
Yes.
and so that it does not obstruct the flow of session, and your question also gets answered. So if you have anything, then you can.
Yeah, in the participant, you can search for moderator. You will see him right on the top of the list, and then all your queries you can address to moderator. He should
Regarding the modalities of the course, not with the class, but other thing. So we will begin with the session now. I can see few questions are there. You can fill the attendance today. Yes, if you have not filled yesterday, we will be sending the attendance link shortly, not now. So once we post the attendance link, you can share that. And I request the moderator to kindly send the link for Study Geeta website, so that they know where they have to go for the course. So proceeding
Yeah,
further.
once again. So as I said, Thursday session is in the evening. It is 8 to 9. It's a convenient time. Either you can plan your dinner before that session or plan your dinner after the session. So that session is from 8 to 9. Saturday session is between 4 and 5 o'clock. And Sunday session, as all of you know, it's between 11 and 12.
Okay, so we are getting into the session now. So as I told, please send your queries to the moderator regarding the timings, the attendance, the quiz, etc. And if you have any generic question, like Prema has asked a question, Prema, kindly send it to the Q&A link, because when we go live, we will take this question.
Today, 5 to 6.
Okay, so coming back to Bhagavad Gita, here we are in front of you on the screen. So third chapter is again divided into 4 sections. So today we would be covering the first section, shloka number 1 to 9, and it talks about renunciation. So there are a lot of queries which Arjun would be making, and we will see how Krishna resolves those queries.
So these are the translations for the first 2 verses. Arjuna said, "O Janardhan, O Keshav, why do you want to engage me in this ghastly warfare? If you think that intelligence is better than fruitive work. My intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. Therefore, please tell me decisively which will be most beneficial for me. So, first thing we see here is that Arjuna is asking a question. This chapter is opening with a question from Arjuna. And what is Arjuna asking? Before we get into the question which is actually asking, we see that Arjuna is saying, my intelligence is bewildered by your equivocal instructions. The instructions that you are given me are not clear. So, Krishna, please, you decisively tell me what is most beneficial for me. So this is such a beautiful thing for a devotee to do. Sometimes we don't know what to pray for. Sometimes we don't know what help we need. We don't know what should be the right thing forward. So this is a very wonderful prayer. We can pray to the Lord that, Lord, you please guide me in the best direction. You please guide me in the right direction. You please help me do what is best for me. So here Arjuna is also asking, please tell me decisively what is most beneficial for me. Okay, so where does the question come from? How is he getting confused? So this comes from we all of us spent a lot of time in the previous session talking about sthit pragya, a person whose intelligence is fixed. And before that, we will just get into that. Let's look at the insights of this verse. Yes.
So in Bhagavad Gita, if we go to the 49th verse of the second chapter, actually we read that Krishna was telling, so before describing the Sthita Pragya, Krishna was telling Arjun that, O Dhananjay, keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service, and in that consciousness surrender unto the Lord. Simplified version. Krishna said, ki leave all abominable activities and
Bad
just
activities.
do devotional service. Yeah, abominable is like sinful activities, bad activities, just leave them and do devotional service. So when Krishna spoke like that, Arjun, since then he is thinking, killing my relative is not a pious activity. Killing my teacher is not really good. Krishna is telling me to kill there, and then he is also telling that give up all these sinful things. So is it not sinful? So why is he telling two different things? One side he's telling kill them, or sorry, fight with them, and on the second side, on the other side, he's telling do devotional service. So he thinks that the abominable act, what Krishna is saying, is referring to actually fighting. So that is how he is asking, what shall I do now? And Arjuna concluded that doing devotional service means sannyas, renunciation. So he is asking, which is better, renunciation or work?
So this is brings us to a very interesting juncture. Of course, we have been discussing the previous batches also, and it's very interesting. The moment we become little interested in spiritual life, I'm sure this many of you would have experienced this. When you start attending Bhagavad Gita class, when you're reading Bhagavad Gita at home, you are chanting japa, and sometimes when you go to temple, how do the family members react to that? The other members of the family, relatives, friends, how do they react? Would you like to share?
Like in 2-3 words, what is the reaction when you start becoming serious in ISKCON? What is the reaction what you get?
So they get scared, they call me mad, samiyar, sannyasi, astonished, why all of a sudden, and scared that we'll become Swamiji, don't become sannyasi. They are surprised, they're happy, it's too much.
Trust me, same happened with us also.
Yeah, some of you are saying that they were happy also. Mr. Raju, sorry, we are not able to take your hand now. We'll take it towards the end of the session. Okay, so yes, why? Because this is a very almost universal misconception. Spiritual life means going away from family. In family life, no spiritual life. And if you want to take up spiritual life, no family life. So this is what most people have this conception. So,
and they become very concerned also that is there something wrong in your life? So generally people have that other notion also that if you are not happy with life, if there are a lot of challenges, then the possibility is there that you would go and
yeah.
become serious in spiritual life.
So most people see that these two things are incompatible. Our normal family life, duties, responsibilities, and spiritual life. So most people think that it is incompatible. Either you can do this or you can do that. And that is the misconception which is clogging Arjuna's mind. This is clogging so many people's mind. And this is what will be clear today. This will be clarified by Krishna gradually over several verses of this particular shloka, of this particular chapter.
Moving to the next shlok, the Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O sinless Arjun, I have already explained that there are two classes of men who try to realize the self. Some are inclined to understand it by empirical philosophical speculation and others by devotional service.
Yes, so here Krishna is saying, Krishna begins speaking now. He is addressing Arjuna and he's saying, among people who try to know who am I, what is my real identity. So in those set of people, there are two types. One, they try to understand through empirical philosophical speculation. They try to do some research on their own. They try to analyze the world around them. They try to analyze themselves. So which means they are making efforts on their own to reveal, to understand this mystery. So this is one category of people. Second category of people is, Krishna is saying, others by devotional service. So these other people actually are more intelligent. How? They say, I don't know, and who has the time? Better ask the Supreme Lord. So they turn themselves towards Supreme Lord. They read Bhagavad Gita. They try to understand Bhagavad Gita. And Bhagavad Gita, very simply, by the grace of the Lord, by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, imagine in last just 6-7 months, those of us who attended GME, those of us who attended Bhakti Yoga Meri, it's so now at least theoretically clear that we are not this body. We are spirit soul. We are servants of a very loving Supreme Lord, right? So, and our goal of life is to develop love for Him. So these supreme secrets of Vedas are very easily revealed to us. Why? Because we are beginning to do devotional service. So this is the prime insight of this verse. There are two kinds of men, women, and children who are trying to understand my real identity, trying to understand God, trying to understand the purpose of life, trying to understand why do I exist, what should I do. So there are two kinds of people. One who try on their own, and others who take shelter of the Lord and of a bona fide spiritual master. Yes.
So when we are doing that, the two type of men, Prabhupada also writes in the purport there that to certain degree these factors are interdependent. So Prabhupada says it's a beautiful life lesson, lot to think about it. Religion without philosophy is sentiment, while philosophy without religion is guesswork. So it is just like if I am doing lot of rituals, religious rituals, I am going to the temple, I am doing arati, and I do not know why am I doing what I am doing. Or for instance, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, but I don't know what is the meaning, what am I praying for, what will happen by chanting this Maha Mantra. We don't know anything about that. So it is more of a sentimental thing what we do. And philosophy without religion is guesswork. So if I know just the philosophy, but I'm not doing anything, I'm not putting it into practice, or I'm not doing any activity based on that. So it is just like I'm guessing, I'm hearing, but I am not practically experiencing. So we need to maintain a balance there, wherein we understand the philosophy and simultaneously we put that into practice.
So to put it, yeah, sorry.
No.
To put it very simply, it is why we do what we do. So that why becomes clear. What is the practice of religion and why is the philosophy? So why we do what we do. So what is the religion part? Why is the philosophy? So that's why both of them are important. And you will notice that in ISKCON or Srila Prabhupada emphasized so much that we need to read Bhagavad Gita. We need to understand. unless we understand, we cannot do it properly. So like for anything, you know, a good cook, Sukriti is a good cook. So unless she has trained herself, you know, from learning from the mother and learning from other good cooks, now she can cook well, right? So one option is trying on her own. Something may come good, something may not come good, but she learned well, and now she's practicing, and everything is just fine.
So moving ahead, shloka number 4. Na karmanam
Arambhan
anarambhan
neshkarmyam
naishkarmyam purushoshnuте
na
na
cha
cha
sannyasanadeva
sannyasannadeva siddhim samadhigacchati.
siddhim samadhigacchati. Not by merely abstaining from work one achieve freedom from reaction, nor by renunciation alone can one attain perfection.
So now Arjun has asked a question. What was the question? Which is better, renunciation or work? So work here actually refers to the prescribed duties or responsibilities with which we are born. So Arjun's question is, which is better? Krishna is saying actually both, if it is not done properly, then one cannot attain perfection. He's saying not merely like just by abstaining from work, like I'll not do anything. If I'm in that consciousness, I don't achieve freedom from my karmic reaction, which I have already done. Nor by renunciation. If I renounce everything, then also I do not attain perfection. So here are the two insights from this verse. One is premature renunciation carries no benefit. So Arjun is asking for renunciation, but is he really ready to renounce? So the word premature, for example, is used like when a child is born premature. I know babies who were born at 6.5 or 7 months. And then I have personally seen that how much the doctors struggle just to save that life. And many a times, even if the life is saved, like I know one child and she got the cerebral palsy because she was born in 6.5 months. So somehow she was saved. But throughout her life, now she is living with that horrifying condition. So premature baby, it is affecting the overall growth and sustainability. Similarly, if a person is not ready for renunciation and he takes premature renunciation, so what happens? He may go to Himalayas, but he may be thinking of how I can enjoy, or how my cell phone, why the signals are not coming in Himalayas. Otherwise, for a change, I would have seen some couple of movies, right? Or okay, it is very cold, so let me have some alcohol and heat my body up. So though he has renounced, but it is premature renunciation. So Krishna is cautioning us that premature renunciation carries no benefit. Second, he is saying purpose of prescribed duty is to purify the heart. So premature is not okay. Then how do I become eligible for renunciation? When I am doing my prescribed duty. So when I'm doing my duties, and then gradually my heart becomes pure. So that is what is Krishna indicating here. So here is a life lesson from that. Do the prescribed duties with detachment and gradually make spiritual advancement. So as we can see there in the video that the small baby, and she's trying to climb the ladder one step at a time. We call it baby steps. So she's progressing, taking those tiny little baby steps. So similarly in our spiritual life, gradually what we have to do is we keep doing our duties, and gradually we become detached. We start offering results to Krishna. We make Krishna a part of our life. We make Krishna the center of our life. So gradually we are making spiritual progress.
Yeah, so because we'll also notice that in many cases the life becomes, when we are in family life, all of us practically are in family life. We have our spouse, we have our children, some of us may have our parents, and you know, so all these relationships, can anyone say that these relationships are smooth with the spouse, with the children, with the parents? We see that some point or other there is always some conflict, some disturbance, some problem in all of these relationships. So many times people think this spiritual life is an escape, like we are in a cockpit, press the button, come out of the plane. So some people think that spiritual life is a escape. So much trouble, Baba, this family life, so much trouble, what to do? Escape from this. And I'll join some ashram. क्या था? घर बार छोड़ो चलो.
छोड़ो घर बार चलो हरिद्वार.
So some people think like that, but that is not really the recommendation of Krishna. He's saying you continue the struggle in the family life, continue your responsibilities and duties. If you remember, he's saying with detachment, perform your duty, perform your responsible, but with detachment, and then that will purify the heart, because ultimately then we'll understand the futility of this mundane material life. So till that time that realization comes, we should continue handling these responsibilities.
So before we proceed further, coming up is a small little reflective exercise for all of us. And here there are alternatives given, and we want you to choose the alternative which you do most of the time, and like honestly responding to the exercise.
And this exercise has a bearing on the future verses. So once you will answer this, then we can understand better the future verses.
So here it is on your screen, and we give you 1 minute time, just few questions, quickly mark it. And request the moderator to kindly share the attendance link. So once you complete it, please mark your attendance. Okay, so hopefully most of you have completed by now.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we end the quiz, and here is the result. So whom do you prefer to talk, your best friend or yourself? 53% of you have mentioned that you would prefer talking to your best friend, which is a greater number. I don't know how people talk to themselves so much. Like 47% of them have chosen.
Contemplate. They'll contemplate.
They
Maybe some of them can explain to us what do they mean by talking to yourself. Anyways, they're anyway talking. Either they talk to the friend or they talk to themselves. So talking is there.
Next question is, after sleeping for 8 hours, you would like to, and 89% of you have chosen that you would like to go out and get some fresh air.
If you have an option to choose, you would stay alone indoors, staying with loved ones. Most of you have chosen staying with loved ones. And okay.
The feeling which you like most is being loved and being active.
Yeah, that's
93%,
almost 93%.
93% of you. Which mental condition would you prefer? And 99% of us prefer to be full of energy. And which is your favorite activity? So here we had given a list of activities, and only 2% of you have chosen sleeping. Otherwise, everybody wants to get engaged and involved in some activity. Now you must be wondering, what are we talking here? Okay, this was a slide, sorry. So you must be wondering, what are we talking here and what is this all about? So the point is that we are trying to tell you something which Krishna is going to tell in verse number 5. So Krishna is telling in verse number 5 as how we are always constantly active by nature. So here that is the same thing we have also pointed out, that we greater percentage of us wants to talk to others, we want to go out and get some fresh air, we want to stay with loved ones, so that there are some activities
We
again.
want to be full of energy.
We want to be energetic, yes, or we like cooking or music or vacation or watching movies rather than just sleeping. So this all finding
Oh, you
actually,
again share results.
sorry, oh, you stopped sharing.
Yeah.
So all these findings actually indicate this verse, or we can conclude this verse, and this is
Nahi kaschit kshanam api jatu tishtati akarma krit karyate avashah karma sarvah prakriti jai gunai. Everyone is forced to act helplessly according to the qualities he has acquired from the modes of material nature. Therefore, no one can refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. So please understand what Krishna is saying here is that we cannot refrain from doing something, not even for a moment. So why is that? Who's that? No one can refrain. Who's that one? Who's that one Krishna is referring to? Krishna is referring to the real I or the soul. Soul in the material world or in the spiritual world is spirit particle. It is always active. Interestingly, this body, you can actually look at your own hands. Yeah, look at your own hands, look at your body. You don't, because you may not have a mirror in front of you. That's why I'm saying, just look at your body. Can you all look at your body? Just look at your body. Okay. So this body that you're looking at is already dead. It's a dead vehicle. But it is moving. The hands are moving, the eyes are moving, the voice is coming out. We are hearing because of the presence of this active soul. So the moment this soul is out of this body is dead. It is even dead now. So like a car parked, you know, the moment the driver sits, put the ignition key, it seems to have a life of its own. But it is not because it is alive, it is because of the driver. So similarly, we are actually this dead vehicle, but it is, the body appears active because of the presence of the soul. So this is something we have been hearing from chapter 2, that soul is always active. And of course, when it is active, it is in this body, the body will act. So we may want to see something from our eyes, we may want to hear something from our ears, we may want to taste something from our tongue. But these preferences, now I'm sure many of you said you like hearing music. So some of you would like hearing classical music. Anybody likes hearing classical music? You can raise your hands. I will know. Okay. So some of you may like hearing classical music. So it could be Indian classical, Western classical, whatever. Some of us may be interested in listening to cinema music, right? Movie songs, Bollywood. Hollywood does not have many songs. Hollywood have a different music industry, but in India, Bollywood, Tollywood, Collywood, so many are there. So movie songs. Some of us may, some of you may like rock music, heavy metal, Guns N' Roses. I don't know about the latest rock bands, Metallica and Def Leppard, and I don't know who else was there. Okay, so some of us may want to hear heavy metal music. So our choice, so we want to hear music. Soul is active, but our choices, classical music. So people who are in Sattva Gun, they like, you know, the classical music is in mode of goodness. We look at Bollywood music, Tollywood, Collywood music. That music is usually talking about relationship between a boy and a girl, love, this, that. So it is usually in Rajogun. And then we have Tamasic music, right? The rock and roll and heavy metal, it's tamasic. So that is what Krishna is saying, that our activities are actually based on the modes that we are in. So if somebody is tamasic, he'll prefer that, right? So a drunkard would prefer company of a drunkard. Sometimes I'm sure you would have, most of us would have traveled sometimes through by air, and in the airport there are so many people, but in the corner there will be a smoke room. So those who are smokers, they will get on the airport and they really want to smoke, but now public smoking is banned. So they will locate where the smoke room is, they will go there. Even if they are alone, they will just be smoking, because I see in Chennai, the smoke room has a transparent glass and the people just smoking. There's so much smoke inside the room. Of course, they are ventilated, but they're just smoking. So the choice is based on which mode we are in. So,
and the more we want to know about modes, we have in our playlist of YouTube channel Geeta Made Easy. We request you as an assignment, go through chapter 14 and chapter 17
yeah,
to refresh that portion.
Geeta Made Easy, those chapters. So these are the activities of the body based on modes. But if we are trying to become devotees, we are trying to advance in spiritual life, in Krishna consciousness, then these activities have to be dovetailed in Krishna service. So if I want to hear music, but if I hear kirtan, if I hear Hare Krishna Mahamantra Kirtan, so I'm listening to the music, but I'm listening to transcendental sound vibration, and then I come out of these modes.
So whatever activities we are doing influenced by various modes, here is a life lesson. I am continuously acting. Will these acts bring me back to the material world or take me closer to Krishna? So whatever I am acting, and based on that, either I am going closer to Krishna or I am going away from Krishna. So I need to ask myself that in which direction these acts are taking me.
When they should ask?
Always, because we are always active.
Yeah, so because we are doing one activity after the other. Actually, this is a constant question that we should be asking ourselves.
Okay, and some of you are asking questions here in the chat window, so I request you to please post the question on the Q&A link. We will answer today evening live.
Naglata, please post the question in Q&A link. Yes. So and Niyati also, she also asked some questions some time back. So before we carry on, there is this, we are very grateful to all these participants. They have accepted the one box challenge.
Yeah, they want to move towards Krishna
quickly.
So the activity what they have chosen is distributing one box of Bhagavad Gita in this month.
Yeah, so you remember that we had a session 2 weeks back where we talked about that we have been, Bhagavad Gita is personally serving us. Lord Krishna is personally serving us through the knowledge that they have given us. And this month is an opportunity for us to serve Bhagavad Gita. So this, all of us are aware that coming 25th of December is the actual Tithi. This year it falls on 25th December when Krishna actually spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna. That is the Ekadashi, when the Bhagavad Gita was spoken. And ISKCON devotees and well-wishers, this is the month from 15th December all the way till 15th January in Chennai, or 1st December to 15th January, that all devotees all over the world, they get together and try to sell and distribute Bhagavad Gita to as many people as possible. So we distribute Bhagavad Gita, we may give them as a gift, or we have the last option of giving Shastradan to the temple, where the temple distributes the Bhagavad Gita on your behalf. So I like to thank all these
wonderful devotees who have participated.
Yeah, so we have Ranjit, and we have Vijay Ram, Shraddha, Vijay Lakshmi, Medini, Mahesh, Vijay Narayan, Hari Prasad, Rasamaya, Narsimha, Rangarajan, Rakshaya, Sudha, Avinash, Subramaniam, Rekha. So this is the list, I think 1 or 2 days old. If somebody else has contributed, it is not yet fully updated. I'm sorry for that. But many of them have taken one box. Some of them have taken 2 boxes. And Rangarajan, he's from Bangalore. He has taken 5 boxes of Bhagavad Gita. We're very, very grateful to you for your service to Bhagavad Gita. Srinidhi, we have purchased 10 books. So thank you, Srinidhi. Thank you very, very much.
Tirumala, sir, Tirumala is asking that I have asked for a box of books last class and yet to get the reply from you.
Note it
So
down.
we will check and get back to you. Just
Yes,
give
sir.
us some time. Can I have your phone number, sir? Dr. Tirumala, if you can give me your phone number, we will see to it that we get back to you. Okay,
Ma'am,
so
not
we
today.
will proceed further.
Shloka number 6 and 7. Krishna is further continuing. One who restrains the senses of action but whose mind dwells on the sense objects certainly deludes himself and is called a pretender. On the other hand, if a sincere person tries to control the active senses by the mind and begins karma yoga in Krishna consciousness without attachment, he is by far superior. So, here, let's understand Krishna is saying there are two kinds of people. One, uh, let me just revise. So Krishna said we are soul, we are very active, we are getting, we do activities based on the modes. Okay. Now, if there is one person who stops his activities, so externally he is not acting, he is not doing much activity, but in the mind he's thinking. Like Sukirti was saying, somebody runs away, goes to Himalayas, but when he goes to Himalayas, there also he's thinking of the past where he enjoyed this object, where he enjoyed with a woman, where he enjoyed this particular eatable, you know, different things, memories there, and he's mentally trying to dwell in those thoughts of enjoyment. So then Krishna is saying, such a person who's externally trying to renounce, but internally in the mind he is trying to enjoy, remembering his past, such a person is a pretender. The word used in the verse is mithyachari. And on the other hand, a sincere person who's not stopping his, he's continuing his duties, responsibilities, and he's trying to be detached, and he's engaging in spiritual life in Krishna consciousness, he is by far superior. So this, devotees and participants, please bring your attention here. Krishna is giving his opinion, Krishna is giving his judgment here, that such a person is by far superior.
So here are few of the insights actually in this verse. So we saw that Krishna is directly comparing a sannyasi with a family man who's doing
Premature
all
sannyasi.
all his duties and everything and staying with his family. So a sannyasi, if he is not ready, he is called as pretender or mithyachari. And Krishna condemns artificial renunciation. And he says that dutiful householder is actually better than a mithyachari sannyasi. Why so? Because he performs his duties without attachment. So he's not really attached to it. And whatever he is doing, he does as a duty. So that is how this person becomes better than somebody who is not yet ready for sannyas or leaving off his body and goes and stays in the Himalayas. So with this, there is a life lesson also that without purification of heart means that my desires are under control, my senses are under control, and if that stage has not happened, then sannyas is simply a disturbance to the social order. So please don't start thinking, like we also got many mails, especially during GME time, where people were saying that I just want to leave everything, leave my house, leave my children, I want to come and stay in ISKCON. So what is Krishna saying? It is important to do our duties. So we need to balance both the duties. That is why in second chapter also Krishna was talking about balancing the duties. And here again he is saying that for a sannyas we have to get ready. It is not just leave it. It is not a escape mechanism. So we have to take care of that. So moving ahead to shloka number 8. Anybody who's having a question regarding the book, kindly send to the moderator. Shloka number 8. Perform your prescribed duty, for doing so is better than not working. One cannot even maintain one's physical body without work.
So here we see, I mean, Krishna is now giving such simple but solid logic. See, we have this body, and this body needs food. This body needs clothing. This body needs shelter. So this body has to maintain, and for giving the body these things which are basic, the body, we have to work to acquire these things, the food, the clothing, the shelter. This has to be, we have to work and acquire this. So Krishna is saying, better you perform your duty, maintain your body, because otherwise even the maintenance of the body becomes very difficult. So we have these insights, perform prescribed duties. As we were talking about balancing two duties in the second chapter. So Krishna is now further clarifying that if we continue to perform our duties and responsibilities with detachment, one, heart becomes purified, the society is not disturbed, our family is not disturbed, I am not disturbed, society is not disturbed, and at the same time our physical health also is well maintained. So with that, we'll carry on to the 9th verse. Yagyarthat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. Work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage in this material world. Therefore, O son of Kunti, perform your prescribed duties for his satisfaction. And in that way, you will always remain free from bondage. So you see the whole conversation. First, Krishna says soul is always active. Then he is saying people perform activities in different gunas or modes. Then he's saying artificial renunciation is not okay. It is better that the person continues to perform his duties and responsibilities. And finally, Krishna is saying that whatever your duties, responsibilities, job, because last session, a lot of people are asking, some people were asking that, I've got an executive job, how do I do? I've got a business, what do I do? How do I live my life? I'm a student, how do I live my life? So here Krishna is saying work done as a sacrifice for Vishnu has to be performed. Otherwise, work causes bondage. So if I'm doing my duty and responsibilities for my own enjoyment, I'm getting bound up in this jail of the material world. But if I do the same duties and responsibilities and offering to Krishna, then my handcuff is unlocked, is opened up. So a very simple sutra for all of us, so that we never get this confusion. How do I live my life? A very simple sutra. If you want, you have a pen and paper, write it down. Number 1, lawfully earn your wealth. Don't use illegal, unlawful methods for earning wealth. Number 1. Number 2, whatever wealth comes by the grace of the Lord, use it for worshipping the Supreme Lord. So you may say, all wealth will come, I'll use it for worship of Lord. Then what will I do? Yeah, in the sense, like I've seen, devotees who buy a house, for them, one of the most important aspects of the house is the temple. Where would the temple be? How would the temple be? Because they consider that Lord is actually the proprietor of this house. I remember Adbhut Gopal Prabhu, he is one of the participants here. When he was constructing his house, he was buying a house, so much thought went into the altar. And they have a very beautiful altar with a very beautiful background with stained glass. It's probably the most beautiful part of their house, their altar. So this is how devotees do. When they buy a new car, I've seen they will come to the temple, they offer the keys to the Lord and they say, Lord, may this new car be used in your service. Whatever, we'll perform devotional service using this as a utility so that we can serve you. So I've seen people offer their new clothes to the deities and then use it as a prasad. So that's how. So whatever wealth we have received lawfully earning, we use it for worship of Krishna. We maintain the body and our family with that prasadam. And finally, of course, there may be some wealth which is left over. We use that for propagating the Krishna conscious movement. Like some of you have taken this challenge of one box. I'm really very grateful that you're willing to contribute this wealth. And there have been also other donors who contribute significantly to, Gita Made Easy and Study Gita programs. So we use our wealth for propagating Krishna consciousness. So this is the very simple sutra which we can apply in our lives. and our life will actually become very, very smooth with this.
So as we have discussed already in detail, the benefits of this type of yajna. Yajna means any activity which is done for the satisfaction of Lord Vishnu. So things like whatever I am eating, or where all the various venues where I am spending my money. Like I am spending some money for my child's education. So am I also seeing that the child is getting some spiritual education? So that way, so everything I'm like dovetailing in Krishna's service. And if I'm working in that way, then what happens is that first thing is freedom from reaction. So these are the reactions which we have been accumulating since time immemorial. Different birth after birth after birth after birth after birth we have taken, and we have got so much of baggage reaction. So we get freedom from that karmic reaction. Second is unaffected by the external misery. So I may have some miseries, but then I am not suffering in that misery. So I do not really feel the blunt of that misery. I don't start asking, why is it happening to me? Why is it happening to me? I just accept it. So unaffected by external misery, gradual elevation to love of God. So gradually when we are doing these things, what we are doing, we are offering everything to Krishna. So by gradually doing this thing, one is actually elevating to love of God. And finally, we get entrance into the kingdom of God. So moving further, we will get into the second section. We will just have a brief introduction to this section, and we'll proceed further in the next session. So now the second section talks about the yoga ladder. So verse number 10 to 16 is based on yoga ladder. So before we go there further down, what is the meaning of word yoga? Can you type it down? Because you all know yoga, we have heard yoga. So what is yoga for you? What is the meaning of yoga? Everyone.
Connecting to Krishna, one with God, linking with God, way of life, to join, peace of mind, concentration on God.
Oh my God. Okay, let me change the question. How many of you go to yoga classes? Question
Decide.
change. Stop typing that. How many of you go to yoga classes, and what do you do there?
Okay, yes, mind in line with
What do
body.
you do there?
Mind in line with body. Let's read some of them. Union between mind and soul, concentration.
No, I have asked the question, now they will type. Those are previous questions. Okay, yes, so Surabhi is saying physical exercise, Avani is saying asana, Ashrita is saying physical exercise, Smriti is saying gymnastics, Kajal is saying asan, meditation, pranayam, Meera yoga exercise, Punita exercise, Subramaniam control of mind, Ramakrishnan practice yoga.
Jyoti saying be one with God.
Be one with God. Okay, so there are so many things. So when we talk about 77 new messages. So when we talk about yoga exercise, like I'm going to yoga class, so basically that yoga class indicates to me that I am going to some anulom vilom pranayam, inhale, exhale, and then surya
asanas.
namaskar, and then asanas. So this is what it communicates to us. But somehow when I asked what is yoga, so when I say yoga class, that is what it means. But when I asked what is yoga, so many of you were writing linking with Lord. So now when we are going for yoga class, those of you who are going for yoga class, how many of you feel that you are linking with the God by doing that yoga class? Okay, so Avani says no, Prisha says no, others?
Prisha says me.
Acha, Prisha says me, okay. Yeah, so you are actually...
Some are saying yes, some are saying no.
Actually, majority, like as of now, we may meditate, but are we told that whom we have to meditate upon? What we have to do? What is the result of meditation?
At least the yoga classes I have attended, they never tell whom to meditate upon. They close eyes,
they
meditate
say
on the breath.
Meditate
Focus
on the breath, focus on the breathing, focus on the breathing, inhale, exhale, focus on the breathing. And then 3 times they chant Om, but they never explain who is Om or what is Om. So, my dear friends, why am I asking is we are going to talk about yoga ladder. Now, this word yoga comes from a Sanskrit word yuj, and yuj means union. So, when we are talking about yoga, it actually means union. When we talk about union, which means there are two different things and then they come together and they are united. So, yoga actually is a process of linking or uniting individual consciousness, which is the soul, with the super soul, or connecting myself to the Supreme Lord. So, that process of connection, that is yoga. So, henceforth, when we will talk yoga in our session, this is what we would be referring to, connecting with the Supreme Lord. So, now Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita that there are various ways in which we can connect to the Supreme Lord. So, we will start with the yoga ladder section. So, now this in front of you is a yoga ladder. Don't get disturbed by seeing heavy words. We will try to break it and simplify it for you so that we all understand what all Krishna is offering.
One second.
Here.
So can I request moderator to post the attendance link again? Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so we will talk about this. So now, beginning, if you see, there is a small green box where it is written animal life. So this depicts those human beings who live almost like an animal. When I say live almost like an animal, so let's see, when we watch National Geographic and we are watching some animal's life, what do they show? They show eating, his eating things, sleeping or residing where he stays, and then mating or procreation, and defending, how he defends himself, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So if we human being, we also focus only on these 4 activities, eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, then according to the scriptures, the word used is dvipad pashu. We become 2-legged animals. So that is that animal life.
So please note it down. This is very important. What Sukriti is telling is extremely important. The animalistic life revolves around eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. So please note it down. It should be on your notes.
Going next from animal life, the second what is mentioned there is Karma Kand. So now these are the people who get to know that there is something called Vedic literature and there are something called Vedas and there are some formulas there. If I follow, I'll be happy. I can enjoy more. If I'll do something, I'll get more money. If I'll do something, I'll have a healthy life. So things like this. So they become fascinated not because they have any interest in God, not because they are aware of soul at all. What they are aware of is how can I enjoy more. So with that aspect, they approach the Vedas and they pick up few things from here and there and they add those elements to their life alone so that they are happy. So such people we call Karma Kandi. So they are just like busy doing good things, avoiding bad things so that they can live happily. So their sutra is doing good, avoiding bad. So that's all. No connection with God so far. We proceed the next step. So now these two level, animal life and karma kand, they are not the part of yoga. Yoga word is being used for the third category there where it is mentioned sakam karma yoga. So sakam means with lots of desire. I have lots of desire. I want to enjoy so much. I want a beautiful or I want a handsome husband. What should I do? I consult yoga and then there are certain vratas which I perform and I'll get a handsome husband. So I have lot of desires. But simultaneously, they know that there is a Supreme Lord also. But mostly they are engaged or their focus is on themselves. They are not focusing on the Supreme Lord. They still want to enjoy, but then they are doing some activities so that they can enjoy better.
Yeah, so it is like, okay, God is there. So how can God give me happiness?
How can
So
God serve me?
how can God serve me? So for example, a person in this category, they are the ones who go to a temple with a shopping list.
Yeah.
Not to a mall. They go to a temple with a shopping list, and when they see the Supreme Lord, they say, Supreme Lord, very nice. Yeah, I've offered you one coconut. Now I want this, I want this, I want this.
Actually, they don't even offer coconut. They say that if you give me this, I'll offer 11 coconuts. Now, what Lord has to do with 11 coconuts, we don't know. But then this is how they strike a deal. And then, so they'll come, like, say, to one particular temple for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and they did not get what they wanted for. Immediately, they'll change to the next temple. So this is Sakam Karmi Yoga. They know that Lord can give. They go and ask to the Lord, but then their focus is on themselves. So this is Sakam Karmi Yoga. And next on the ladder is Nishkam. So now their calm or desire is not there. So they are doing Nishkam Karmi Yoga. So in verse number 3 to 9, the process what Krishna was telling now was Nishkam Karmi Yoga, that do your duties, offer the results to me. So that is Nishkam Karmi Yoga. So these people, they start making Krishna the part of their life. So it is not that their life is focused on Krishna, but they start making Krishna part of their life. So they are doing their duties, and Prabhu was explaining the sutra of living happily. So this is how they would work, they would get money, they'll take care of all their necessities, and they would also put some money for some donations. So that is Nishkam Karma Yoga. This is all like a ladder, and we step up one after the other. After Nishkam Karma Yoga comes Gyan Yoga. So now the Gyan Yoga, what happens is that by this time they start acquiring lot of knowledge, and because they have already lived like a Sakam Karmi Yogi, like a Nishkam Karmi Yogi, now they start thinking that nothing is giving me happiness. Like I was attached to the desires, I fulfilled my desires, I was not happy. Now I am doing all my duties, still I am not happy. So what they start aspiring for? They start aspiring for liberation,
getting out of this
cycle world. Yeah.
Cycle of birth, death, old age, disease.
So even now, when he is performing or we are performing Gyan Yoga, the center is me, because I'm so frustrated with the miseries of life that I want to get out of the life. So that desire to serve Lord is not there. See, any of these steps, desire of serving the Supreme Lord is not there. So what is the desire now at Gyan Yoga is get out of the world so that these miseries end. So that is Gyan Yoga. Or otherwise, if I am doing Nishkam Karma Yoga, I may go to Himalayas now. Like as we were telling.
Nishkam Karma, Ashtanga Yoga.
Yeah. If I was doing Nishkam Karma Yoga, and I may decide that enough is enough, I'm not happy, chalo, let's go and go to Himalayas and do some
meditation.
Take samadhi, meditation. Yeah. So that is Ashtanga Yoga, where we physically try to control our mind, because we know that mind is very chanchal. Chanchala hai mana Krishna. Mind is so chanchal, it keeps going here and there. So I want to arrest my mind physically. So sitting erect in a particular posture, like we will read in 6th chapter, Krishna will start giving instructions as how one can perform Ashtanga Yoga. So that is Ashtanga Yoga.
So it is very interesting to note that in Gyan Yoga, usually the process of practicing Gyan Yoga, one should ideally take sannyas. So one actually renounces all the family responsibility, everything, takes sannyas, and then he begins his study of these scriptures. And by his studies and all, he tries to intellectually get convinced that this material world is dukhalayam, and I should go to the spiritual world. I should basically does not aspire for spiritual world also. He aspires to get out of this dukhalayam, of this material world. So, and Ashtanga Yoga, actually, as Sugiti is saying, we will be discussing Ashtanga Yoga in 6th chapter.
Detail,
yeah, and Arjuna is saying, after hearing Ashtanga Yoga, Arjuna said, no, this is not possible for me. It is easier to control the wind than to control the mind. how will I control the mind? So it becomes so difficult in Ashtanga Yoga. And see, many of us, we of course have some young children, and they may practice some little bit yoga, but how many of us can actually sit erect for 1 hour of this session
Not me.
without a backrest?
Not me.
Or how many of us can actually sit in Padmasana? So I mean, for most of us, even the beginning, so the asanas actually in Ashtanga Yoga, asanas also come later. Asanas are not beginning of Ashtanga Yoga. So there are several steps, several stages, and I mean, I've not personally met, but I've heard from devotees who have been to Himalayas and they've met some yogis. They're practicing asanas for 50 years, 60 years, and still they say that they have a long way to go, right? So practically, you see, for people like us sitting in and living in cities and even towns and villages, wherever, our hope is in the last column, which now Sukirti will speak about.
So the last one, what you see there is Bhakti Yoga. It is very interesting that Krishna dedicates not one, not two, not three, but 6 chapters to just this process of Bhakti Yoga. Actually, the whole Bhagavad Gita is a build-up for us to reach at that Bhakti Yoga, and then Krishna
Conclusion, yeah.
describes in detail about Bhakti Yoga.
So Krishna's conclusion is Bhakti Yoga, Krishna's recommendation is Bhakti Yoga, and that is what whole Bhagavad Gita is all about. So actually, if we carefully look at second chapter, third, all the chapters of Bhagavad Gita, even if Krishna is not talking about Bhakti Yoga, but he will emphasize somewhere here, somewhere there.
It is building up towards that.
He'll emphasize that how Bhakti Yoga is the thing, So he's trying to convince, he's trying his best to convince Arjuna that how he must understand all the yoga processes, and then understand that how Bhakti Yoga is the best, easiest.
So when we talk about Bhakti Yoga, it is not making Krishna a part of celebration, it is making Krishna the center of our lives. So that is Bhakti Yoga, when Krishna becomes the center, when everything is governed from that one principle of Krishna being in the center. So like one of the today's life lesson, we were discussing that whether my act is taking me closer to Krishna or away from Krishna. If I'm always constantly thinking of that, then I'm actually performing Bhakti Yoga. And another interesting thing is, like, now what you see there is a devotee sitting, a picture of devotee, and then there are these arrow marks. So this is another very, very beautiful point of Bhakti Yoga, that even if I am performing Sakam Karma Yoga or Nishkam Karma Yoga or Gyan Yoga or Ashtanga Yoga or Karma Kand, or I am living like an animal, still if I come in touch with Bhagavad Gita, I come in touch with devotees of the Lord, I take up the process of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra right from animal life, I jump all the way up to the ladder and I reach to Bhakti Yoga. So I can reach perfection like this. Like, we don't have to struggle, we don't have to go step by step. We can take an elevator and straight we go and reach to that point of performing Bhakti Yoga and perfecting our lives. So this was the yoga ladder. We thought we will explain you today, and in the next section, in the next class, we will get in detail with this yoga ladder. So with this, we are officially ending our session today evening. We are looking forward to see all of you 5 to 6 live question and answer session. We have already shared the link for Q&A. So we request all of you who has any question can share their question at Q&A link. If you have any other questions or doubts, as we keep telling, regarding the quiz not found or any other difficulty which you are facing, you can always write to info@studygita.com. We would help you in resolving the issues. Regarding the one book challenge, again, the lecture has been uploaded on the YouTube. It is known as From Passion to Compassion. Hoping that you have seen that lecture and you're feeling enthusiastic. So 25th December is the day when Bhagavad Gita was spoken. So we still have time. Click on one box challenge, get the book delivered, and start distributing Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, what we need to understand is, of course, Bhagavad Gita has a particular price to it. But a special discount is cost to cost, the cost of printing. It is there, and of course, if you're not staying in Chennai, so there will be some amount of transportation charges which have to be borne, and then we'll help ship from Chennai to whatever location you have. So that is the first option. And in case you are finding it some challenges there, of course you can do Shastradan, give it to the temple, and then temple will distribute this Bhagavad Gita on your behalf.
Okay, so thank you all very much.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Looking forward to see all of you in the evening 5 to 6. And now also we are available for another 20 minutes in case if anybody
Yeah, just one
would
second.
like to share
Yeah,
anything.
some of the questions here now. Is Bhagavad Gita available in Tamil? It is available more than 10-15 Indian language, maybe more than 20 Indian languages, Tamil, Telugu,
Kannada,
Kannada,
Malayalam,
Malayalam, all the South Indian
Hindi,
languages.
Bengali,
Yeah.
Odia.
So most of the languages it's available, and that one box that you're planning, you can have a mix and match. You can have some English, some Hindi, or some Tamil and Telugu, depending on whom you want to give it to.